This is the farmhouse where I grew up, where my father grew up, where my grandfather grew up, where my great-grandfather grew up. The main house was built in 1860. We got electricity in 1943 with the Rural Electrification Act. And now what I am doing is I'm removing the majority of the 1960 updates and reverting the era back to somewhere between 1920 and 1950. I'm going to show you each room in the order that I did them years ago. While I am no more of a carpenter or a designer than any member of my family has ever been, I'm doing it to suit me and my tastes. In Book 5, Chapter 3, I talked about the fuel tanks in the original cellar, tanks 2 and 3, and I referred to tank 1 as the gravity tank. Well, here is tank 1, the gravity tank, and the reason why we call it the gravity tank is because it is gravity fed to the heaters and the water heater. The specifications from Toyotomi stated it had to be 18 inches above floor level, so that's why it's up on these stilts. And if you notice under the tank, you'll see one of your standard fuel oil cartridge filters. Well, we changed that out for this goldenrod filter, and it's the type that has the water absorbing element. So from when the kerosene leaves the tank, it goes through the fire valve and then into the filter, through the filter, and then down the kerosene line into the house. And here's where it enters the house. You can see the kerosene line, the copper line coming in. The black hose going out is the fill for the gravity tank from tank 2 using that pump that we saw in Chapter 3. After entering the new cellar, it goes to this junction. There's a shutoff valve to stop it right there before the T, and when that's open it goes to the T, and to the right it goes to the little laser 30 heater by way of this shutoff valve just before it pops outside. Right now it's under our shed, and that's the foam insulation that you can see that we had put on the floor. As soon as it clears the building, it turns, goes up and turns again and enters just under the exhaust of the laser 30. And then it makes a couple tight turns and enters the back of the laser 30 with another fire fuse link valve. And here we are back at the first T junction again. Now we've gone to the right. Now we're going to go straight through the T, through that valve, and headed across the cellar. And here we hit the next T with 3 valves to shut it off if needed. Coming in from the left, it goes to the T. If it goes straight down, that goes into our BS36UFF Toyotomi kerosene water heater. If it goes straight through and the next shut off, it's heading outside again. And it exits just above the exhaust for the water heater and heads alongside the house, where it turns and sweeps through the wall into the house and ends up going through another fusible link and then finally curving and entering the back of the laser 73 heater. And that is our complete kerosene system. When I said it was complicated, it is. But over the years, we've found that having all the valves, spending the extra money to put them in, it makes life a lot easier when you have to put something new in the line, or you have a problem and you have to shut something down. And we've found that because this system has so many valves and junctions and connections, that if you have to take the system apart, you will find that invariably you will get an air embolism, air bubble in the line, and the force of the kerosene from the gravity tank will not push the air through. So we're using this Pittsburgh vacuum bleeder. Bought it at Harbor Freight. It was, I think, $25. generally one or two of the little reservoir tanks full, and you've gotten the air out. It makes life so much easier when you have to take the system apart. Like when we had to pull the heater, the main heater, out of the living room to put the floor in, and it was a fair amount of time before it got put back together. It would not bleed. So with the use of this vacuum bleeder, it made quick work of it.